I'd like to introduce you to my son, who I am so proud of, beyond proud. He has worked tirelessly to advocate for those students, those victims, those families, and he is our CEO of the company, who is our Director of Communications. Alex, I love you so much.
I'm gonna make my way up here to the front, everyone. Thank you so much, Mom, and thank you, everyone, for giving my mother such a warm welcome. So, once again, I'm Alex Ott. This lovely woman here is my mother. About a year and 6 months ago, we walked into this apartment and met Pamela Newman. All I really had at the time was an app that I had crudely slapped together with a professional team of programmers based out of Poland who specialize in audio-based AI, just small things, And Pamela had the wonderful idea of starting a nonprofit so that we could better express the dangers that are lurking around the corners of these college campuses and these professional institutions and everyday life. Now, step one for us was figuring out, what is our mission? Are we just spreading awareness? That's great, but who isn't right now? So we essayed to create a program that would go above and beyond traditional Title IX education and get every single missed point in the consent education curriculum that we so craved. Step one was research. We needed to know what we didn't even know. And in doing that, Richard Colton found a company called Human.Plus that so graciously partnered with us to conduct a data scraping program of, I believe, 795,000 American students, their parents, and faculty members to gather their thoughts on consent, what they knew and what they didn't know about sexual assault and sexual assault prevention. The numbers were pretty shocking. The most disturbing one was that 94% of currently enrolled college students have no understanding of what the formal definition of consent is. So more or less, we had 94% of currently enrolled undergrads just kind of winging it, saying, I know consent when I see it. But as we know, 465,000 sexual assaults are reported every year in the United States alone. So clearly, that is not enough. Our mission with PASS was pretty simple. Identify the areas of lack and then fill them in with our for-profit company, Aegis. But it started evolving at some point after we got that data. We realized that our access with PASS as a nonprofit, it was far greater than what we had with Aegis. And in doing so, we made a choice to start a campus ambassadorship program, so that you all know exactly what you've donated to tonight wasn't just hors d'oeuvres and wine. We at PASS are starting an ambassadorship program for at-risk universities, those that are lower on the University On-Campus Safety Survey list, students that desire further education and consent or are particularly motivated in creating a culture of consent. We intend to sponsor on-campus events, work with them and educate them on our curriculum, as well as fill in the gaps for what we may not know about their local culture, and try to create the most holistic and comprehensive program possible. That is what PASS is intended to do in the upcoming year, 2026, with your wonderful contributions, which I simply can't thank you enough for. It means so much to not only me, but everybody like Mike Hoffman, Richard Colton, Anthony, Pamela, my mother, Elizabeth, and Allie Aston, Dr. Richard Griff, a wonderful psychologist who has given us countless insights into victim psychology. And who am I missing here?
Eric Dickerson.
Eric Dickerson.
Who is the MVP of the Rams.
Yeah, a wonderful football player with a heart of gold who is determined to protect young men and women in athletic programs everywhere. So PASS and Aegis have become our double-edged sword, but not really in a bad way. Both sides are sharp, both get the job done. One tackling consent in the corporate world and enterprise solutions, the other boots on the ground, PASS, making real life impact every single day.
And we are trying to change a culture of consent. That is who PASS is.
Just a quick exercise because Pamela had promised you one and I've been anxious to give you one. Would you mind standing up for a moment?
Not at all.
Thank you.
You're gonna have Mr. Happy stand up.
Mr. Nelson Happy, J. Nelson Happy, was one of the most prominent lawyers in the New York City area and the United States. In-house counsel for many years to Red Apple, and a former dean of a law school.
And we're grateful for his advisory
Well,
as well.
thank you.
So thank you so much.
It's a delight to be here.
Well, we're delighted you're here.
And it's amazing to see the progress in really such a short time. It just was a glimmer in the eye.
It was. It's just
And
been.
now it's all real. And I think momentum is gonna really go from here now. It's got the start. So thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming.
And you have to stay standing.
Stay standing,
Nelson.
yeah,
Oh,
please. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
So, what I did the first time was a more formal consent. I asked him to stand,
It worked.
and he obliged.
It
Now, what did
worked.
I do next? We call that kind of handshake consent for one of two reasons. I extended my hand, and he met me
And took it
halfway.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
You met me halfway. Firm grip, by the way. So a lot of people have misunderstandings about what consent is and isn't. You think you know it when you see it, but nonverbal, non-affirmative consent is not consent at all. And non-resistance, which is the most common form of college consent, it's actually quite the opposite. That's sexual assault.
Really?
Yes, so if you were to engage in physicality without getting prior affirmation from your partner, that's not consent. And we found that a majority of college undergraduates had no idea they were engaging in criminal behavior. It makes our talks a lot easier when you get to say, surprise, you might actually be a criminal. Pay attention to slide 2 now. So it's been very effective. You can sit now. Thank you so much. Thank you so
I'm
much for
impressed with that information.
We have so much to offer students nowadays. Our program at ASU went fantastically. We had a lovely beta program with our for-profit company Aegis at the University of Mount St. Vincent. We
And Dr.
were
Susan
actually
Burns
joined
is
tonight
here.
by Dr.
Here
Susan
today.
Burns, who
Thank you so
graciously
much.
allowed us to have some access with her student body. And now we are preparing our B2C release, a full community release of our consent education program via the Apple App Store coming this December. It's a lot of fun and exciting news. Thank you all again. I'm gonna be floating
I'm
around.
gonna take some questions, and I'm gonna start with the
Oh,
first.
good question.
Is I always thought the SEC was Securities and Exchange Commission.
Oh, this little thing right here. I guess a lot of people might not know this if you haven't taken our program. So at Aegis, SEC has absolutely nothing to do with investing or getting arrested for investing improperly. SEC stands for Stop, Evaluate, Communicate. It is the simplest tip we can give students. We try to include it at least 3 times when we talk to them, just because if you walk away with nothing else, if you can remember stop, evaluate, communicate, you and your partner will feel a lot more comfortable. You'll have an open dialogue and a healthier relationship. The worst thing you could do is let some feelings of uneasiness go and just not address it. So we say, I need to stop, evaluate, and communicate. Take a sec. Pamela, do you have any other questions for me?
I'd like Marcy McGuire, where is
Yeah,
she?
she literally raised her hand as you looked for her.
Yes, here I am.
Here's your plug in the
Marcy
audience.
McGuire, who remarkably and wonderfully owns a car dealership, and she's the most probably well-known person in the National Association of Car Dealers, having been at the top of that organization for many years. Marcy McGuire, could we call on you for a question?
Yes, and the question that I had actually was, I'm understanding that you're talking about high school and college. Should this not even been done earlier?
It's
Much
so
earlier.
incredible that you ask that. I almost think it's rehearsed. Yes. PASS, as a matter of fact, has started engaging with a school called Laurel Springs Academy. They are one of the largest online schools in the world with more than 500,000 concurrently enrolled students. They're operating out of 74 different countries, each with varying cultures on consent. We have been tasked with creating a program that can be served not only to students in California and New York, but to students in South Sudan, Afghanistan, India, France, you name it. Tall order for some, not for PASS. We have an absolute superstar roster behind us, and it starts with our second grade curriculum. The very first thing we understood when we looked at the psychology of these second grade students, they don't even understand how to communicate that they are uncomfortable. They know their hands get sweaty, and they know their stomach feels like it's turning, or they have a lump in their throat, but they don't know why they're feeling that or what's causing it. So we created, with the help of Elizabeth and Allie Aston, two women who specialize in educational programming for children, and our lovely Dr. Griff, we created a program to help these students understand these feelings and communicate them with trusted adults. Now, the next step was, how do we increase free agency for students, and specifically second graders? How do we get them to self-advocate, speak up when something makes them upset? If you're like me, you probably wouldn't have needed much training in that world at all. I never left anything unsaid. But we wanted to ensure that students had the confidence to speak up for themselves. So we give their parents a couple exercises, like ask your child, do you want to wear the red shirt or the blue shirt? Do you like Velcro? Do you like laces? What do you want to wear today? How about we go here to eat? Simple questions that give them a voice. And repeated over time, you will have a real chatterbox on your hand.
Yeah.
But now we move into middle school. This is the difficult part. So we've already taught these young children about trusted adults and how to identify them: your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, teachers. Then comes the hardest part of the discussion, that sometimes you can't always trust trusted adults. Grooming has become a hot button topic online, as children are spending more and more time connected to the internet. And for an online school like Laurel Springs Academy, where your children are always connected, it presents a massive risk and a massive blind spot for most parents. We address these issues with the students on several levels, none of which are sexual. We talk about trusted adults and betrayals of trust, and potential red flags, like, should a trusted adult start asking you to keep secrets or shower you with gifts in an inappropriate way? And we give a lot of fun examples about inappropriate gift giving. Beyond that, the middle school curriculum is more about building a sense of self. And all of this is to increase the receptiveness as high school students when we start presenting them with real topics about sexual violence and sexual assault prevention. All of these efforts are trying to promote self-advocacy in a way that I was never really presented with. My high school curriculum on sexual assault prevention was minimal. In fact, I only learned about sexual assault and rape when I witnessed it firsthand, and the destructive nature of an adversarial school administration. Thankfully, nowadays, I've been met with nothing but hope as I was introduced to Dr. Flynn and Dr. Burns. I realized there are educators out there that value nothing more than creating a safe and exceptional environment for their children to thrive in. And in doing so, I've been able to create programs that fit the needs of anyone from the Bronx all the way to Hollywood. So thank you again for giving me such a wonderful opportunity to meet with your students.
I'd like to introduce Jose Ortiz, who's a very successful builder of change. I think that we could call him an infrastructure king. And I'm watching him listen to this as he has two children who I hear how devoted he is. I know that because I'm often on the phone with him early in the morning when he's getting the kids off to school. And in one son he brought with him tonight, Jesse. So it's pretty interesting.
Richard.
That was good.
All right, easy, you.
him to listen to what's being said and filter it through his own head. So, Jose, I'm watching you, and do I correctly assess your filtering?
You know, what's funny is.
Jose Ortiz, a dear friend.
Hello. If I was to start speaking in Spanish, just give me a little nudge. I get nervous. My SEC, my son can tell you my motto to him for everything in life is always, Joseph, take 2 seconds. And that will make you different than most people. Especially at this age, right? Because hormones are kicking in and everything that you learn, you probably forget. But if you just take a little bit of time, it just changes your life. Because we're sort of taught to react as opposed to slow down. So I love your SEC.
Well, wow, I mean, I'm glad you like it. It seems like you came up with something that's at least 2 times better. 2 sexes. That's genius. I can't believe I didn't think of it.
So I'm going to ask Samantha Marshall if you haven't had a chance to meet her. Samantha is a world-renowned ghostwriter after having been a world-renowned journalist for the Wall Street Journal, spent a lot of her career living and working in Hong Kong. And she was recently written up for what she does as a ghostwriter. I introduced her to the Odd Family a while ago. We had dinner last week together, and she remarked to me how much impact her meeting the Odd Family had on her. So Samantha Marshall, could we ask you to comment on the impact and what your thinking is on the topic?
Wow. Well, you are very impressive to me, Alex. Your poise and humor and perspective on all of this. You have maturity beyond your years, and I'm thinking that a lot of this program must be really impactful when they meet you as an individual, and you know, young people of your generation see how you are and how you move in the world. Must be incredibly inspiring and empowering to them. So I hope as you go forward that you use your greatest marketing tool, which is yourself.
Well, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. That was probably the most compliments I've had all year. Thank you. I do find that I'm a lot more comfortable speaking directly to the students that we're educating. Thankfully, I haven't reached that threshold where I'm out of the loop yet. I still have TikTok downloaded on my phone, so I'm in with the trends.
I still have TikTok downloaded.
Please.
Flynn was hitting me with the 6'7" joke just last night, so I nearly had a heart attack. But yes, I have to say that more than anything, I think that what resonates with students is when they can feel that you have a genuine passion for their safety, their peace of mind.
Authenticity.
I wonder if people have a question or want
Right
a
here.
challenge. Please ask the question.
It's a question, I'll take the challenge.
Is it, no, it's not. Do
Thank
you
you.
feel, so I have college-age children, do you feel like the education that's being delivered on college campuses today is not enough, that there's a consent issue? I can't assume that schools are just turning a blind eye to it, or that there's at least some education about it, but do you feel like there's something that's missing, that for such a widespread crime, there's a missing piece, so that's why they bring you and you work with the school that
That
already
is
has
a
an
wonderful
existing
question. That is a wonderful question. Well,
Alex,
seriously.
Dr. Charles Flynn would like to say something.
Dr. Flynn?
And let us introduce Dr. Charles Flynn, who ran the University of Mount St. Vincent, and I had the great pleasure of working for him in that role. That's how I got introduced to the school.
Thank you, Pamela. There was something that you, I think, skipped over that is an answer to that question, and it's very important. That 94% ignorance is despite the fact that every student in the country, every faculty member in the country, every administrator of higher education in the country is obligated every year to take Title IX training. One of the reasons I was happy to engage with the OTS on this project is that I think the standard model is wretched. And that 94% ignorance is a sign of how totally insubstantial and ineffective the standard model is. And Alex and his parents, even Adam, are really smart educationally. Like, let's take one little thing that convinced me. You take, if you're a faculty member or administrator, you take that standard software training, you're bored by it if you actually do it, you're bored by it. You know, you never find out if you answered some questions incorrectly.
Correct.
You never find out what was wrong. I mean, this is the most basic rule in education. You learn more from your mistakes than you learn from what you get right. And yet, it is a program that is designed purely for compliance with state and federal mandates and not for the education of the participants. Alex and his family got involved in this because such programs are so ineffective. And it's been brilliant how they've expanded, recognized that there's a far more expansive need both for younger children and for other industries. Last night we were talking about nursing homes where there's a huge problem with sexual violence. And that's what engaged me with the arts. So the entire motivation is, yes, colleges fail miserably, and this provides them an opportunity to do it.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
More to the point, thank you again, Dr. Flynn, for stepping in there and providing a lot of context to help support my answer here. Current solutions, I'm not going to poo-poo any of the companies that are out there currently trying their very best to provide an education on subjects of consent. The difficult, I'm trying to say this as diplomatically as possible. We at PASS and Aegis have crafted our programs based off of feedback from survivors. And it's all informed by victims' experiences rather than a checklist given to us by the federal government. So it's a lot more relatable, it's a lot more human. The scenarios we provide are scenarios that a college-age kid would find themselves in. You've just had your first date at a bar, or you met at a club, or maybe you met at a party and you're both already intoxicated. Just scenarios that are relatable, and we give them the responses that they crave. If you're interacting at, not with the program, it's just a one-sided obligation to complete this for a form so you can graduate. And we don't want an education in the kind of coercive field when it's supposed to be about consent. We want your students to want to take the course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also in our programs, we also test the students. So they will go through the curriculum, they will be tested, and they must have 100%. And they attest to mastering the consent. And I think that is what we are. It's apart from what is there today.
If there are any more questions.
Judy
Thank you.
McLaren.
I lived in Europe for 34 years, and my children were brought up at school in London. And London had this very special program that I thought was great, that I educated my daughters. It was done by the police force, teaching them how to figure something out. If you feel danger or any of this, and my daughters, they went to school in Boston, and both had some incidents that occurred. And so I think this education is so important that they learn it by, people that are gonna give them a really strong understanding. Because sometimes if you just don't understand the fear or the seriousness of the situation, you will not be open to the little things that tell you something is wrong. I'm uncomfortable. How am I gonna get out of here? And so I was very happy that I did that in England and just sharing what we had.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry about that.
I think it's good.
You're everywhere.
Other challenges, questions? I want to, somebody got a question over here?
I have a question.
Please.
I'm a friend of Sam's, and my name's Diane,
Hi,
and
Diane.
I find myself wondering in this environment. There's no question there's been a coarsening of just the kind of dialogue. We're seeing polarization on campuses. We're seeing this anti-woke movement.
And gender division.
And anti-DEI, et cetera. So how does that impact, like, just the zeitgeist when you're talking to people? You know, you're talking about a very humanizing thing you're trying to do in a time where we're, I would argue, leaning in the other direction in too many areas.
Well, here's the wonderful part about your question. I get to share some of my beliefs with you all. So you're going to see a little bit of Alex Ott bleeding through the messaging here. I really don't want to say we're feeding off the fears of these people, these students, these educators, and these people tasked with maintaining safety on college campuses and corporate campuses. However, regardless of the political zeitgeist, these young men are terrified of false accusations to the extent that they will sit through a 2-hour lecture with me. These young women fear their male counterparts, and they would like to know strategies to keep themselves safe on campus, and they sit through a 2-hour session with me as well. So I would say that, paired with the fact that as the politicians come and go, the educators' beliefs on student protection and sexual assault prevention remain true. And as long as we have them as kind of our first line of defense, programs like PASS will be able to get their messages to the kids.
Other questions before I call on Richard Rubenstein, who I introduced a moment before.
He felt so
These
safe.
are yours.
Did you see him? He was
Here's
totally
Richard.
safe for a second there.
Richard, because Richard is a leading public relations person. He's pitched by people who want him to communicate what and who they're about. And I can't imagine how many pitches he listens to in a given day. I mean, I can't even imagine. He must feel like a therapist or something. So I'd love to know what Richard's reaction has been to what PASS is about and what the Odd Family is about. Richard.
That's all order.
I think it was a very informative discussion
And a
tonight.
little louder, I think.
And this is a whole new category. That, you know, the notion of consent is not something that's been widely discussed. And Alex's presentation in words were formidable and persuasive. And I think he has the tools at his disposal to carry the message forward, both for the for-profit side of the organization and the not-for-profit organization. And we're speaking to young adults whose futures will depend on what you have to say. So I think there's an enormously large audience for it, and it's going to be a question of just touching people and communicating with them in a powerful way. And for that, I think he'll attract attention naturally, without all of the tools and the bells and the whistles that people pay for today, which include influencers and social media and pay for ads. Because the authenticity of what he talked about tonight became very clear to me. So I congratulate you, and I know you had a difficult journey, and today you speak from the heart. And I've represented many people with complex matters. So to persevere for you and to create something very positive at the conclusion is a true testament to family, and that's what we're hearing about tonight. So
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
Well, before we go back to more hors d'oeuvres and more drinks, I want to ask Dr. Ott to do the wrap. I want to say before I ask Dr. Ott to do the wrap that I think it's incredibly much our goal, and I see Miriam over here. I mentioned Miriam, I don't know if you were here, that this night is you created, if you will, because you introduced us to the couple in California. I think it's incredibly important to realize that while while we're sitting here, while we're talking, people are failing in their human relations, and it's hard. I would like this organization, I think in similes, in comparisons. I find it fascinating that if I say mothers supporting drug drivers, getting rid of drug drivers, everybody knows about that organization. And I would like PASS to have that same punch, that people know that we're going for appropriate sexual conduct. It's incredibly important. There's a lady not here tonight. She's one of my closest friends. And she was going to come. She had signed up. She very kindly written out a check. And then she called me about a week ago. She described to me an experience she'd had at this point, I'm telling you, 30 more years ago. And she said, you know, Pamela, I really don't feel I can go to this event because it will open up so many old wounds of mine that I'm uncomfortable being there and taking that risk. That's why this becomes incredibly important. Dr. Ott is a tremendous surgeon. And so you can imagine the hours he keeps, and then he's up against life and death all the time. Yet when I talk to Dr. Ott, I don't hear discussions from him about what he's achieved in the operating theater. I hear his passion, his care, his conviction, and deep thoughts about what's happening at PASS, what it's going to achieve. Dr. Ott, could we ask you to do the wrap?
Thank you, Pamela. Pamela, thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. I'll speak for everybody that came before us too, because so many of us that are here tonight, that you've affected our lives so tremendously. So thank you, and everybody that's here tonight. We're so grateful for all of you coming. Pamela posed the question to our family last night at dinner, well, what do you think? With obviously a very open-ended question, which is a great way to start any conversation. How are you feeling? I said, if I had to sum it up in one word, I would say, I'm incredibly grateful. This is an incredible journey, and I think a lot of us use that term in many different ways. As we look around this room and any room in this beautiful house, we see stacks of books. Pamela's a voracious reader. Every now and then we talk about, what are you reading? And obviously one of my favorite authors is Joseph Campbell. And he so beautifully described the hero's journey. And so this whole process for me, it's been incredible because it's forced me to step out of several different roles that I play on any given day or any week, to really just look at it from a distance and say, where am I in that wheel of the hero's journey, so well described by Joseph Campbell? And Sonia spoke to the dark night of the soul that we went through at the time of this event that unfortunately happened to Alex. And there is a tremendous amount of detail that we have to leave out of that story because it's very dark. So I'm, gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Let's just wait a minute.
Just a second.
Can I cut in for 1 second? I just wanted to make one comment just from listening to
And a
everything
little
tonight.
bit louder,
I'm Rebecca, I'm the
please.
girl who's doing the food. I found it absolutely incredible.
A little louder.
Sorry,
Rebecca.
I found it absolutely incredible. Having gone to the Breast Cancer Alliance every year for like 10 or 15 years, they start out the beginning of the ceremony and they ask, how many people have a mother, a brother, or a sister who's had cancer? How many people have this? By the time they asked 7 questions, like over 90% of the people in the room all had some experience with someone that they knew or loved have cancer. And the only thing I could sit here and think of when I was listening to this really smart, bright kid talk is I bet 90% of the people here in this room all know somebody, have somebody, themselves have experienced, whether they're uncomfortable, they just feel a weird vibe. You know, as a girl, you let somebody touch you or grope you or say, oh, my chefette, or this or that. We've all experienced it. So the thing that I find that's so remarkable is that it isn't talked about as much because everybody in this room has probably been affected by it.
So true.
So I just wanted to comment on that because I think we all need to really acknowledge that that really is there, and we're all uncomfortable when something happens, and we all just try to be polite and push it off. And you know what? It's not something that needs to be pushed off. So good to you and your family for speaking up and talking about it, because it's not a really comfortable thing to talk about.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm so grateful to especially my wife Sonia, who is just an absolute just inspiration to all of us, and to say that she has the largest heart in the room would be an understatement, and her just intense passion for us to literally change the culture that surrounds this globally, and here we are today, and we've come in contact with so many people, and some people I accept are just there to put wind in our sails, and they say, that a boy, Gary, or that a boy, Alex, and way to go, Sonia, and they keep us afloat and keep us inspired. And then there's others like Michael Hoffman, like Pamela Newman, like our whole team at PJN, and all of you that really actually move us and allow us to complete this mission. I'm so grateful for all that I've had an opportunity to do in helping women in my line of work. There's a very large part of me that believes that we're meant to do something even greater, and I think the scope of our work is changing from affecting the well-being of others in a local capacity to one of a global capacity. And thanks to all of you, and what our future is going to be is absolutely incredible. So again, gratitude would summarize how I feel and my outlook for our future. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Is New York's finest here?
Yes, he is.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Detective Joseph Ayala. I'm the president for the NYPD Hispanic Society, so I'm a little late. But I'd love to exchange some more dialogue, just to learn more about the organization, the mission. I think it's a great idea, right? What parent, as a parent, right? Who doesn't want their kid having this knowledge, making their kids more aware of uncomfortable situations? And I'm just thinking in the NYPD perspective, how we can integrate this through our recruit training, making members of the police department certified pass trainers, maybe that's an option, and maybe working collaboratively with the special victims unit. We have seen a rise in New York City in sexual assault cases, so we'll definitely engage more in the sidebar.
Thank you, Joseph, and thank you for being here. You have been wonderful to support PASS. You've been wonderful to listen to what we have to say. You've been wonderful to show up, which is 90% of success, isn't it? We are going to deliver back to you a methodology, an education, a change of behavior that will make you so very proud. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
We would love that global capacity, because what didn't come up tonight, but we spent a lot of last night talking about cultural sensitivities around the world, and even back in this country with different people of different backgrounds, of having a cultural sensitivity is incredibly important.
Join the United Nations for something.
Yes, we would like that. We would
Yes,
love.
I would like to speak with you.
Go get a drink and or adjourn.